Okay, so first critique is going to be Jake's. Jake is doing a sub badges. These are a little bit like emotes. They're really, really, really tiny. So there's hard to put in a lot of detail in. I probably won't spend a ton of time on this one because I actually think it's really good. I don't think there's actually a whole lot to really improve on this, other than what you can see in a chat. It's great. That was if you ever see Atomic Child in chat, I know I've bragged on Atomic Child a lot. He is the one who actually designed that for me years ago, so I've kept it up there just for him. Okay, so this is Jake's uh, sub badge emote that's usually going to go right next to home time. Are you at home or going home, pal of mine? What do I call my drawing style? I don't know if I call it anything in particular, Lurker. I think I just kind of go more with a. I blend a lot of like Western comics and manga style together. I like this. Yeah, this is really, really good. Like I said, there's not a whole lot for me to critique about it as it is. The only thing on it that I would suggest is it's got to look good small. It's got to be simplistic too. So emotes and badges and stuff are oh, you got a page? All right, Biggie. Nice. We'll throw that in there too. Emotes and badges, the tough thing with them is that they need to look good really, really, really small. So added it to my emotes list so I could spam it in chat. Yeah, I mean honestly, it would have helped to see how it looks small too. Um, Especially if this is a badge, then it's going to go right next to somebody's name. So zooming out on stuff, you got to try to look at it like it's going to be small next to things, and you got to test it out if it's going to look good on uh sort of the night mode and the day mode on Twitch. So my only worry with this right now is that does it look good small? Who uses light mode? I mean, people do. People do. I use dark. Yeah, I use dark mode too. Maybe have outlines. So like, that would be my one thing to watch for is because light mode I think is kind of a grayish color like this. Um, there's a light mode. Yeah, there's a light mode. And if it is in light mode, usually I thought the default was set to light mode. Use light mode until recently. Yeah, I think I probably used it for a while until I realized there was an option to turn it off and save my eyes on stuff. So if there is a light mode, my biggest concern is this color especially is probably going to blend into it. Light with two. What's up, Noel? How you doing? Use light mode Instagram for a long. Did you? I might still be on light mode. I don't know if I'm on light. I'm on dark mode on everything so far, I think. The awful light mode on Twitter, yeah, yeah. And then everything on Facebook, just regardless, looks nasty. Facebook can't save itself no matter what. Um, so that's my big idea is that watch the amount of detail you're putting in there because these are going to be very, very small and they're also maybe going to clash with light mode. So test it out on light mode and dark mode um, just to make sure both things work. Because even if most people do use dark mode, um, you still don't, as a benefit of people subbing to you and having these badges, you still don't want it to look bad for anybody, right? So it's like um, attention to detail type of stuff. Yeah, check it out. I would definitely upload it, test it out on both modes, see how you can see it um, as sort of a small thing. You might be able to get away with just one mountain shape. Like you have a lot of mountain shapes in here, which look really good at this size. It looks really, really cool, really good. But when all that shrunk down, you might be able to just get away with like one general shape of this silhouette as of a mountain, being a mountain. Quirky, save yourself. Is there a dark mode on Twitter? Yeah, there is. Using Facebook. You know what? Facebook is really, really good for art commissions. That is what I use it for. I stick with Facebook for art commissions. I swear by it for art commissions. Using Facebook groups. Other than that, it's trash. It's just for arguing politics with your family. Um, Yay, no, thank you, thank you. If you got anything you want thrown in for critiques, now's the time to do it. So drop JPEGs in chat, if you want critiques on stuff. I know Khan kind of put me on blast the other night. He's like, "Where's your sub badges?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a little bit lazy on that one. I'm a little bit lazy on that one." Could never get into Facebook, yeah. But I think it's. Do you use a personal Facebook? I use personal Facebook. Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I use personal Facebook. Um, Fan page Facebook seems to get throttled way more, so I went with a personal Facebook page, um, and I post into groups that way. Plus, when I was using a fan page on Facebook, I would post into groups, and then people would try to friend me on my personal page. And so I just realized people are trying to friend me and not follow my page. So might as well just set up a personal page, post into groups, let people friend you that way. You have to deal with a lot more spam and stupid shit, but um, it really has been worth it for me for commissions and like return clients and stuff. Make some badges quick and easy. I kind of like the I got a little star here. I got a lot going on in Twitch chat. Come on, Scoop. I didn't get Facebook account until recently. Cough cough. I realized I should probably get one as an artist probably, and I still don't have it set up. Need to do that. Yeah, make some badges. Um. Oh, just sharing your animation. Okay, cool. I will try to check it out. Oh, that's coming out really good. Yeah, it's coming out really good. I'll try to keep since it's YouTube time. I'll try to keep it to crits and stuff. But that actually is looking really really good. The colors on it too. Um, yeah, maybe I'll make some badges. Well, probably not though. I'm pretty fucking lazy. I mean, practically all my emotes are people's faces. Um, all right, so yeah, that's my crit on Jake's. Just a real quick crit is just kind of watch your colors. I would love to see how this looks like uploaded to a chat, um, and see how it bounces off the backgrounds and how it looks when it's really really small. Because even this grass might be a little bit too much, but it'll be really interesting to see. I use free yoga business cards. I mean, that's a really good idea though, because you keep your colors consistent all across your platform. I think that's what you should be doing is keeping keep your branding consistent across everything you can. So colors, my colors here are the same colors that I have on my banners at Comic Cons. Are the same colors that I have on my uh, business cards. All that shit. It's all the same characters, same colors, same fonts. That way people get used to it. Okay. All right. Second critique up. Whose was this? All right. Never thought of keeping. Yeah, keep a lot consistent. Keep your names consistent across social media. Keep everything consistent as much as possible. Make it really, 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 really idiot proof for people to find you and follow you and know where you are. Like you really have to. You have to give yourself every advantage you want. Someone say building a brand. What is that, Downback? I can show it on Discord, but that's it at the moment. Oh, okay. Idiot proof. By colors, what do you mean? Do you mean style wise? I mean like I have the same green colors on my background, my overlay. I'm using the same color and the same fonts. It's greens and whites as on my business cards and on my Comic Con banners. Too much hair to Jake Mountain Man. Yeah, yeah. A song about building a brand. Someone showed it to me. Oh, really? No shit. Okay. I have a hard time pulling up videos, but maybe I'll try to look at that later. Anybody else can check it out too. Yeah. So, and I don't mean that people are idiots that follow you either. I mean that make it to where it's so obvious someone who doesn't know how to even work social media could try to find you, right? Make it so painfully obvious of where you are and that it's your stuff and it's consistent all the way through. Because you need to give yourself every chance you can because there are so many artists. Look how many artists there are in this chat just trying to make it. And with all the stuff that we've submitted so far, like there's a ton of people. Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, kind of like that, right? So even when people come here, a lot of people I've realized won't know where I'm at on social media, even though I have it like up here, I have it down in the panels, I have it right on the first thing that pops up in chat. Um, but there's so much information people are getting hit with that they just don't really absorb all of it. So you have to hit people constantly over the head with where you're at. Oh, blue and yellow. You know what? That's a little bit different, Jake or John. Use whatever color palettes you like in your art. But as far as like branding goes, I mean like overlays, business cards, signs at conventions. Keep those consistent logos, all that shit that you can, names, everything. Celadon Amber instead. I used to, thanks to a dead account no less. Oh, you can't get Amber Celadon in there. Okay, so whose was this piece? I don't remember whose was this. Yeah. No, your art is going to be like your art, right? Your art is going to be just whatever it calls for. Um, yeah, this is really nice. It's annoying. I know. Honestly, that's why I take, even if I don't use a social media platform, I jump on it as soon as I see it pop up. I jump on it and I grab my name as quick as I can, just to keep it consistent there. The hatching on this is fucking really nice. Yeah. I kind of wish I knew what people were looking for with this. I think this is a very early on progress sketch. Um, so I'm hoping to find out what I think maybe she went to bed actually, and she's gonna watch later. I think that's what she said. If it's the same person. Okay, so this is a very early on progress shot, kind of trying to see what's going on. There's some really interesting sketches and stuff. Um, what we can critique for now is like where we're at with things. My big thing on this is since it's done traditional, uh, flipping your canvas automatically shows us some inconsistencies in symmetry. Um, so this is done traditional. One way we would do this is we would look at it in a mirror. We would take a picture with our phone. We would flip the paper upside down. You can look at these in a lot of different ways. So upside down, you see different things. Flipping it, we see right away that we have a little bit more, that we kind of need to even some things out, right? We have a little bit more fat on this side. Um, and we could really even a lot of shit out. And I don't mean shit in a bad way. I just mean I cuss a lot. I cuss a lot. So if I ever say shit, crap, it's not that your artwork is shit or crap. Just that I cuss. Flip it over, hold it to the light. Also, that's a good way to think. Yeah. So we cut down a little bit of that side of the head. We can see in here the eyes are a little bit uneven. This is going to be a little harder to fix. You know, obviously when you're working traditional, you can't just lasso tool stuff and fix it. But this is why we work as we go, and we check often. So one thing I recommend to do is if you have an Instagram, you have an Instagram following, take pictures of your work as you go, post them to stories. This will give people a chance to see what you're working on. First of all, it'll advertise yourself, but at the same time, this will also force you to check with your phone what your work looks like. Okay, so another thing is we see a little bit with the lips. This isn't off very much, but once you flip it, you can kind of see that there's a little bit of imbalances here on these sides. It's just a little bit, you know. It's not really a ton, but it's just those little things we can add in that will kind of help your artwork feel a little bit more professional, a little bit sharper. Learn something new. It's a really, 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 really useful trick. Yeah. You feel like the forehead is going to be that much shadow, then the cheeks should be as well. Oh yeah, I kind of am thinking that this might not be fully done too, because it looks like she's got a lot of shadow here too, right? Lotus. I thought this is a Christian art stream. um, so let me get my pen working here. So it looks like there's a little bit of work in progress where we're kind of getting the cheek still, and usually there's like a little triangle here of light that will hit that, where the cheek kind of pops out. So we kind of draw over that, like this side, yeah, definitely down here because she'll have more shading right here on that side of that chin where it loops over, and that means all this side will kind of be in shadow too. Usually there's a little spot right in here. Yeah, you could probably even bring the nose down a little bit more in the center, is where you'll have that bridge of the nose, right? Because the shadow, it'll peak like right there, right in the middle of that bone. So we can bring that over a little bit more too. Um, Still work in progress. One nostril bigger. You think one? Oh, yeah. And then this is like a little bit raised up, right? Too, like this nostril. This is the big thing with flipping it, right? Because you don't always see that with that first angle. Because it looked right the other way around. But then when you flip it, and then when we flip it back, now we can almost tilt these even. So it's a lot of just kind of noodling around, um, making sure different things kind of match up. It looks like one eye is bigger than the other now too when we flip it back. So you'll do this a bunch as you go through your working stages. Um, no, it's not your bad eyes. It's just those fine details. And like I said, this won't really make or break a piece a lot of times, but like when it gets really small details like this, when you have so much detail going in, but sometimes it's more a matter of discipline, um, paying attention to like little fine details will actually like add up in your other work. So we probably have more shading right here going through this eye because this is a round shape, right? So like right about here is where it's actually going to curve, and we'll add that in. Back side of this is going to get shadow because once again that's curved just like this part of the eyelid. You got shadow here. So it looks like a lot of our light source is coming this way. Probably same thing on the lips, right? Keeping those consistent. This is an underside of the lips. Maybe a little fatty tissue that comes in the middle down here. Again, fine details. Right. Yeah. So one way to check that even is we measure. Usually we measure one eye and then we measure another eye between it and another eye, kind of on the side here. So we can see there's quite a bit more space right there, but these eyes are also different sizes as well. So if we look at those really closely, those eyes are different sizes. But doing this traditional is very difficult too. All credit to the artist that submitted this. Doing this traditionally is very, very difficult. But that's why you flip constantly through your process. See, those eyes are lining up a little bit more and more. But we would still need to keep kind of flipping and checking until it looks symmetrical both ways, right? So now we have, if we take off some of that lines that we had a little bit more space there. But once we flipped it, we saw that it wasn't looking as well. Say measure, 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 measure. Flip back and forth. Oh yeah, you can set a hotkey to it. Yeah, you can set a hotkey to it. I know that I have my flip canvas up at the top. Bro, what, Biggie? Mario measures pins. What? What, Biggie? Don't do me like that, man. Measure. Measure. Measure like a good old backwoods Missourian boy. There you go. There you go. Thank you, Amber, for understanding my accent. Thank you. Thank you for the appreciation. Yeah, I would love to see more of what's going on with this, but because like it is a work in progress. But in that sense, just keep flipping, keep double checking, use mirrors, all that good stuff. Kind of see where you're at. But other than that, I think it's a really cool piece. I like it. It's very conceptual. I want to see more of where it goes. Making fun of people's act. How dare, how dare you, Biggie Boo? All right, so this next one I think is JK's. A lot of this piece is great. Would love to see. Yeah, I would. I would really, really love to see more of that once it's done. I'm really curious where it's gonna go. Okay, so this is JK's. JK, you still around? Did you fall asleep? Did you fall asleep at all? Are you still here? Kind of curious what you're looking for. What you think about the piece? Anything you wanted help on, maybe? Still painting? Still painting. All right, this is really nice. Yeah, this is really, really cool. JK flops between a lot of really cutesy stuff and then a lot of really dark stuff. It's always, you never really know what you're going to get. I'm sitting on the bench next to this furry. Okay, so first thing is first. Headed back to work, lurk mode. Yo, no worries. Is it J Blue? I hope I said that wrong. I think I called you Junior a bunch, but I don't know if that's right. Thank you so much for being here. If you gotta go back to work and lurk, do it up, do it up. I appreciate you being here. Okay, so first thing is first. Amber has to be sitting here, I guess. Right. So we had Amber, and that balances composition a lot. Overdid the exposure on it. I'm thinking, it looks so good, right? Right? Junior stands for junior. Okay, awesome. I just wanted to make sure that I got it right. Yeah, Junior, thank you for being here. Lurk away, and go back to work. Appreciate you. It was good meeting you. One thing I'm kind of thinking of trying here. Is just warming him up a little bit. Right now I'm just taking a warm dodge. Warm color dodge. I know he's kind of in shadow here. But I'm just kind of warming up the rim lighting on this picture. Rim lighting on the sort of the log here. Maybe the back of his head. Right? I'm just kind of warming up a little bit of it. Because you've got so much like coolness and shadow and stuff. That I think like some of that warm light might help. just kind of give it like a little bit of flow, a little bit of, I don't know. Warm to me gives it a little bit more like life to a picture. You know what I mean? Makes it feel alive. Amber's so good. Sometimes sometimes bad. Try to even focus on them and push the trees to the background. Um, okay, and that could be one way we do it with. You've got a lot of so you've got a lot of darkness here, right? And maybe that's what I'm trying to do is push between, like, you've got a lot of these in shadow, and he's in shadow too. So I'm kind of trying to lighten him up a little bit as well, even though I know it looks like he's kind of sitting under a canopy. Um, but we can do different things with either making these lighter back here. So we grab some of this color maybe. So we have two different things going on in our background, right? This is a little bit too sort of violent, I think, but I kind of like it the other way around. I like leaving these in darkness and like lighten him up a little bit um, instead. Maybe we can cut that eraser, get a soft eraser here and kind of cut this back down here because that's in the background, right? That way we're leaving him. He's our focus. He's our focus and that log's the focus, right? So if everything else wants to be dark, let's kind of leave that dark. And then let's give him something else that stands out. Um, yeah, like Rain is saying. Um, I think there's a little bit of something feels a little bit off with the perspective on the log, just a little bit. I don't know. Did you freehand this or did you kind of go in and draw this with like perspective lines and stuff? So I almost feel like this should kind of go out here, right? And then I would have more hard edges kind of cutting through the grass where that log sits. You have a lot of grass up front, but a lot of it's like transparent. Kind of freehanded it, yeah. I did a lazy. You know what? You got it really close though. I feel like you got it really, really close um, to this. But like I'd have that shadow underneath that. Um, you have that grass. It's kind of like I said. The grass is kind of transparent, but like under here, you'd have like it wouldn't really be super transparent. I like the style a lot. I like the style a lot, but in here it wouldn't really be super super transparent, right? Because it's still grass. It's still a solid object, just like this log is. So we would have just so even these little tiny tufts, right, that cut through the log. Or if this is going to be in the foreground that we can't see through it, then let's kind of make sure it's in that foreground where we can't see through it. Even though I like the style, um, being able to see through it kind of cuts that illusion of that density if that's what you're going for, right? Versus making it like thicker. Here's the initial sketch, okay. Oh yeah, and you know what? So do you see how much more your foreground seems to kind of pop with this though? You almost have a desaturation in the background and more saturation up front, and even like all this darkness, right? Um, where this you kind of got this really 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 dark and heavy. Um, but I almost think your sketch has more pop to it. Maybe it's just the more detail on it. Maybe it's just the heavier, like I said, heavier saturation stuff going on here. Um, but once we take off sort of that sunshine glow, he kind of drops back into the same area as like the trees and stuff, right? He's kind of that same. He's along a very similar tonal value as those trees. Black and white, honestly, yeah, I actually really love sketches and black and white. Both these are really good. But you can kind of see how you got lighter back here, less detail, less saturation and stuff like that, and it feels more pushed in the background, with the exception of maybe this tree. Should probably be along those lines too. But then when we take it to this stage, like let's try to keep that little saturation. Like all I did was add a little glow of a glow color dodge around him to kind of give him a little bit of life and pop him out a little bit more. Try to put less detail in the background to make the character. Yeah, for sure. I do really like these brushes that you're using, these textures. They came out looking really fucking cool. Like really fucking cool. I love how those look. Um, I just would push my saturation down to where, I mean, like this guy back here looks pretty good. He's still really pretty dark because he's still dark. Even when we add that glow, he still feels really dark, especially with the bottom of this. Um, so we can kind of cut these guys down a little bit as far as like the darkness and heaviness on it, right? That way they look. What is it called? There's a term for it. Stuff that drops saturation out in the background. Grass is close to the eye, but doesn't have the same darkness as the trees and raccoon. If I'm not mistaken, the closer to the eye. Well, it's not necessarily darker. It's more usually more saturated, more contrast. As things, I think it's ambient occlusion, maybe. Yeah. As things go back, they sort of like lose contrast and lose saturation. They can actually get darker. You want to have either your dark in the foreground and light in the background, or light in the foreground, dark in the background, as far as those go. But you can lose color values and things as you go back more, right? Things will tend to go between more of a medium type colors. They won't uh, they won't be as dramatic as like what it should be up front, right? Um, just really went too far with the overexposure. Yeah, but like I think it's still really good. It's still really good. It's just that we want to see more of what you got here, you know? Like we want to see more of this dude. Like so people want to look at that and see more detail on it and things like that. And it's not like you can't have him in shadow, but um we want to like not fight where he's at, right? So just a simple little touch like this can kind of bring him out. Um versus like setting him back in there. Put up two posters, got the central AC fixed, tried out a Ring Fit adventure for the first time. I had a 9 minute workout. So out of shape. Yeah. I know I think Erica was really into those ring fits for a while. Post blending layered stuff. Yeah, it's just a little and honestly all I did was soft airbrush color dodge on like a yellowish orange. Um but those things are like icing on the cake type of stuff. Couldn't think of the word. Curse your brain farts. Yeah. Okay, so that's my big critique on yours. Just kind of separating those foreground background elements, right? Story elements, where your focus of the eye goes. Sometimes it's just a little easy little thing too. I love this sketch though. I really love your sketches. Okay, then we got Alice. One for Alice. I forgot whose this was. This is yours down back? Okay. So what do you think on this one? What are some things you're trying to learn? What are you trying to focus on? Kind of let us know where you're at. What are you interested in hearing about? Um, Sketch is awesome. Sketch is really awesome. There should be at least some bounce light on him from the sky. At time of day, he should have more light even in front of him. I couldn't tell if he was like in beneath the trees in like a shaded area or what. Either. Lucky with someone returned the game with everything at Best Buy. I instantly copped that shit, but my general manager of all people was trying to find it. I was so scared. Like the last 2 hours of my shift. Really? You jacked it from your general manager? Yeah, there's. I think we got mail dropped off at the doorbell. The immediate love the waves. It's a really really cool style. Yeah, it's a really really cool style. Let's see what we can do with it here. So my big thing right now is going to be like just up front is kind of keeping consistency. Although I do like when people push their styles on stuff, um, and try new different things. I think a lot of this comes down to, um, can we keep stylistic consistency? It can be very easy to like. I'm guessing you put photos of clouds in the background, photo of the moon. It kind of looks like, even with the different style of the waves, it's really interesting. But it can create sort of a clash with your styles versus like learning to draw the stuff yourself, right? Because then you keep everything like in house. It becomes your thing, right? It becomes your style. Even drawing these waves, if you kind of keep it, you have very 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 heavy black lines on here. Um, so maybe keeping those into your art or finding a way to sort of combine the two things into one, I think might be like a really big help for you. Just to try to find your own voice, right? Um, it looks like, and this is kind of hard to tell on stream, I think, but this is kind of cool that you did in the shadows. It looks like you almost put the waves into her shadows, which is really really cool. However, it's kind of so dark that it's hard to see that. It's a cool little detail, but it's kind of so dark and there's so many lines on here that it makes it really really hard to see that's what you're doing. So if you want to try to pull that off, um, make it a little bit more obvious, right? I think you have it in her choker too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that's a really really cool detail. However, they're so tiny and small that they make it's black lines on top of an already dark color, so it doesn't really pop out as much as it deserves to. Yeah, it's in the choker too. Yeah, it's a really cool idea. It's just a white circle and the clouds are from a. Okay, the clouds are from a brush. Okay. Um, in the turns bin, the game was there. I picked it up and had it behind the answer center for the computers department. 30 minutes later, my coworker mentioned how my general manager was trying to find it. She just snagged it from your general manager. Um, yeah, it's in the choker, the shadow of the hair. So is that a brush, or did you do all those lines individually yourself? Also, that's kind of cool. Signature in there. Um, so yeah, let's just try to make those a little bit more obvious. If that's what you want to go for and that's a style you want to try, make it a little bit more obvious, so it's not so small and jumbled up, and in such heavy dark colors. Because now you have black on top of a really really dark green, dark greenish blue color, right? For a lighter color, I think so. Yeah, yeah. Do those all lined by hand. Yeah. So, and you're putting that work into it, right? You don't want it to go unnoticed, right? Um, oh, he was trying to fulfill. So he snagged it from a customer, which is even worse. Um, it would make it look like a lace work. Yeah, I actually will say things for sure about the anatomy. Yeah. So like I said, try to get the clouds. If you have a cartoony flat style like this, kind of keeping it the same. If you have a realism back there, it's going to look like you put photos into it, and it's going to kind of fight it. It's also going to look like maybe you didn't know what you were doing, and it'll downgrade your art. And a harsh way of saying it is it will downgrade your art versus learning to draw it all yourself, right? Um, because when you are able to make this entire picture yourself without using brushes or photos or whatever else, like then it will become your art, you know, and it will only get better and better and better with time. So on her we have to talk about anatomy. So this is going to be our basic thing. I have a video on YouTube. It is about what to do when you're starting drawing. Even if you've been drawing for a while, there is a really good lesson I learned from Proco about tracing over things. So in your case, I'm going to want you to learn some basic shapes, some basic anatomy, right? And not just that, but how do we divide things in the middle line, right? How do we center things up? Sometimes it takes a couple lines, even for me. I sketch out a lot. Um, where do we put the eyes on stuff, right? So we usually have one eye distance here. So if I make these like this, then maybe I make that eye right there, right? Then maybe I make the nose right here. And I kind of want to keep everything going straight down the middle, right? And this is just something that you're going to learn over time, is how to proportion things directly. But the thing that I suggest in the video that I made is that you get a picture of a real person or a piece of art that's really good that you like, and then you try to draw over it, right? And you learn their proportions. So like this eye, it's going up here, and this nose is all the way over here. She's almost turned sideways, right? And we need to kind of fix that. So that'll be like kind of your big goal right now, is just starting simple. Starting simple with these head shapes. They don't have to be super perfect, but try to divide them down the middle. Try to divide them that way, right? Try to put eye shapes into that. See where you're at balance wise. Kind of match them up. Keeping like an eye between them, usually an eye between the sides. Then turn it to the side a little bit, right? Do like 3/4 view, practice that. Just practice these basic layouts. They don't have to be perfect, but they're going to be just something you get the hang of, so you can put all these shapes together down the road. Yanier, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Would you say anything about the face, the Cyclops? Oh, having one eye. Yeah, so my main thing would be just kind of like just more balance to it, right? Also with hair, we find the parts in the hair. So a good way to draw hair is finding the parts and then just kind of using gravity to balance it. So I also think maybe in this case, we've got a part. It looks like we've got the part right here, right? So I can't really tell what her hair wants to do, but try to think of this as like a flow of ribbons. Is what I try to do with gravity. Find where that part is in her hair, and then try to add like a little flow to it. It looks like it wants to be like right here, so it looks like her hair should kind of go like this. But you also look like you want to have half of her face covered, right? So that might come down from the middle bangs. And the one thing I suggest with hair or with anything like that is that we divide things up into big, medium, small principle, right? But I know it's not the reason to draw the other eye, especially too if it. Yeah, yeah, you can definitely have it hanging over, but you're right. As long as you're having it hanging over for stylistic purposes and not to just cover up the other eye, because then you'll shortchange yourself down the road, right? Um, so with things like hair, because it looks like it wants to part here and come down this side. So with things like hair and design stuff in general, I follow the big, medium, and small principle. So big, medium, small. And that means you're going to be grouping your shapes into 3 different sections. This will help you with everything too, by the way. So big shapes, right? Medium shapes, small shapes. So all these are kind of about the same size. We just divide them a little bit differently into different sections. That way they're not all, it creates a little bit more visual hierarchy. So right, so you've got a sort of a big clump here for say, maybe you've got a sort of a medium clump here, maybe a couple small clumps, maybe another medium clump, kind of going across her hair like that, right? And this will really help you the more you get into having like this head more anatomically correct. Your hair is going to fall along the same lines. So we have smaller shapes right here for the hair. And you're doing some of this too, by the way. I can see you doing it. But just in terms of like using all these squiggly lines across here is making them more of a design element and less of just kind of throwing squiggles on there, if that's what you're doing. Right? So I don't know exactly where her hairstyle would kind of be. And then down here, more kind of basic anatomy stuff. Attention to detail with like the shapes. If you got a ruler in the program that you're using, things like the choker should kind of follow those shapes a little bit more accurately, right? Yeah, I definitely think this eye should probably be smaller. Um, if we want to make a big eye like that, usually the cornea is going to be tall. Cornea is going to be smaller, or the retina, whatever that little dot is. It's going to be smaller, and then there's going to be shadow around it, right? It's not going to be like a big black dot with the shadow. It's usually going to be like this little tiny dot in the middle, and there's usually shadow up top from the top of that eyelash, and shadow on the bottom. And usually there's sometimes a little dot or a little shine on the opposite side. So usually shines kind of cross over, but this one's always like a little bit smaller. If we need it. I don't always use the second one very much at all, actually. So then we can add shading under the chin, usually almost always. More with the parting of the hair on this. In the end, it also makes the face feel off when you can only see one eye. You have to do a lot more balancing, I feel like, when you only got one eye in there. Yeah, you know what? And see this. Like, you see how much more I can see of these little lines and stuff? Your style that you're kind of doing here. And that's because the color allows you to play with it more. Lines are definitely off. Yeah, but here you also have both eyes in there too. You just would need like the white of the eyes and stuff to go through there. But because the color is so much lighter, you can see that little shape, that little design element that you're trying to add, right? Angle is just getting to, yeah, and it's okay. This is all things to learn from, right? So these are all things to work on. So what I'm highly recommending to you is just kind of working on shapes. Right, so you have a lot of squiggly line here, but this is clothing, so the more you can get your lines to kind of go, across here like this, right, as like steady lines, the better clothing is going to look for you. So there's a lot to break down with this. You're doing really good. Keep working, keep trying. The main thing I want you to get used to is the idea that there's these full body shapes like underneath here, right? So I really want you to kind of practice those. Trace over some artwork that you like. Trace over pictures of real people, and learn how to find like the full body shapes that go within this. Because there's this shape under here, right? That is that torso, and like that kind. And then there's that shoulder shape. The shoulder is not going to really go down like this. The shoulder is going to kind of come out. It's going to be full, right? That neck's going to go around that like a tube. It's going to go around there. So trace over some shapes, get some pictures from online stuff, and learn how to fill those shapes out a lot within your art. That way you'll learn like symmetry. You'll learn dividing lines that go down them. Like even do this stuff. Draw down the. I know this seems really silly, tedious stuff, but it will teach you how to balance that stuff as well. Okay. Right, so it's all just like learning and adding these little new elements every step of the way, and just doing it in a way that you can get your brain to kind of recognize it. It doesn't have to recognize it at first, but over time, it's going to pick it up. Okay, but yeah, those are my big things for you. Is start working on basic shapes, fullness of things, basic anatomy. You have really cool things with style. Try to keep it all within your style of line drawing and stuff. That way it like these would look. There would be some cool stuff with the clouds. If you made them kind of with that same detail, make some swirls in them and stuff. It would start pulling a lot more things together to make it a cohesive piece. Okay. So those are my main big things for you. Is just kind of go. As frustrating as it might sound, it's go to that starting block and just work on getting symmetry down and like full shapes into your stuff, because that'll build everything up from underneath. Okay, but yeah, cool stuff. I can't wait to see where you evolve with your art down the road. I already think it's looking really cool. It's got a really original vibe to it to me, so keep pushing it. Okay. All right, let's grab our next one. Yeah, thank you for sharing too. I appreciate that. I know a lot of people learn a lot from when you guys share. So, let's see whose this one is. Okay, whose was this one? Vintage '90s feel to it. I like it a lot. It reminds me. There's a anime called Mononoke. It's not Princess Mononoke. It's just called Mononoke, I think. Um, I think you would dig it if you like that. Okay, this is yours, John. What do you feel on it, man? Is there anything in particular you're kind of wondering about, working on? Right? I do like it. It feels very like a street mural style, like where the colors pop on it. The thing that killed me was the hands, but I also realized the background perspective is a bit janky. That's about it. I definitely see this piece in the subway. Yeah, yeah, like the colors pop, the animation sort of style on it pops. I feel like you could do better on anatomy. Okay, you know what? I actually really like the hands on the guitar. I think it's actually really really good. The hand below it, I think it's not bad, but I think it gets a little bit small in comparison. Or at the very least, like I think this pinky finger is kind of losing itself in shadow to the point where it's like it's clashing with like this pinky shadow is kind of clashing with this color, and it's kind of losing itself. Pixar concept painting for a short. That's true. It kind of does. That one Childish Gambino. Oh yeah, this the summertime one. Yeah. So and as you pointed out, John, like a lot of your perspective, right? So, um, kind of keeping those lines. If we can figure out where a perspective line would be on this. So we get maybe a 1 point thing here really quick. Right, so it looks like if all your lines, for example, are going up here. So in Clip Studio Paint, we just add those are goofed. I don't know why those are goofing like that, but they are. In CSP, we go to layer, you go to layer, you go to ruler frame, and then you go to create perspective ruler. I just did a 1 point perspective here, just to check these backgrounds, sort of these background lines you got. Horizon line still a bit high. Um, if you're going for style, I like the mixture. I think the colors might clash with all the browns and red. Yeah, I think you've had some little bit of a color clashing where your shadows lose some things, and certain things aren't popping. Um, is the only thing I was with approved. The canvas is a bit too square, and I want to see more. You would see like a lot more, like maybe like horizontally. You mean? Horizontal line of the wall and for the character isn't the same. Yeah, I think a lot of it has to kind of sort of be on the same level, right? So one way to check that even is kind of making these using CSP or using our own ruler to make like a 1 point perspective really quick here, and just see where our lines kind of mash up. So we can kind of see that the probably where this would be on a different line, right? We can kind of see where all our lines on the bricks are a little bit different from that, but that's just kind of trying to be consistent with all those things. For just freehanding really quick, it's actually really really good, and it's really pretty close. But I think like even things like this poster kind of has to match up with a lot of these lines. Like this line is kind of going up more here. Um, this poster is a little bit lower, so it kind of feels like it wants to go out there. What's up, Archer? How you doing? So these are just attention to detail type of things that we kind of talk about oftentimes in art, that can make her sort of put your piece on a next level of making it look professionally, right? Then I think people are saying with the color values, how can we address some of that, right? Can maybe let me just see if I can kind of take it down a little bit. I'm kind of just adding a little bit more browns to it because it is a brick wall. So I think if we're going to change some of these hues anywhere, we have room on the brick wall to kind of mess with it. You can't add, like, you have a lot of these really cool areas where there's different colored bricks too, by the way. I see those. And we can add those in a little bit later too. Because I like the idea of keeping those in place. So right now I'm just kind of trying to sort of change it up into a darker brown red. Um, and then I would kind of make his red pop a bit more, right? Paid for exposure sounds like a good deal. I just paid Twitter to tell people I do art, so that's a thing. Oh, did you buy an advertisement? You ripped your shoe? Oh, does that mean you can't go running today or what? So I'm gonna pull up saturation on this a little bit on his hoodie to make that pop a little bit more. And like I said, I'm just doing this with an airbrush, so it's not going to be super clean, and it's going to be fuzzy and stuff, but and that's kind of why it's glowing. But I did really like some of the stuff you were doing here with like some random ass bricks and white and stuff. Whoops, I don't like how that turned out. Um, but yeah, in here too, like, I know you want some shadow on that, but it looked like half a hand, really. Right, so then we kind of keep that. Oops. Gotta buy new running shoes. Damn. Do you have anything to go running today with then? How will they work? I spent $1.50 and gained a single new follower. I mean, a dollar per follow. Maybe it's worth it, right? Uh, it's a super hoodie. Yeah. Now it's kind of radioactive. Yeah. Like I said, I used the airbrush for it, but my point is kind of just to illustrate too that that maybe will pop him out from that wall, right? I did like a lot of what you were doing with sort of like the paint look on that wall with different colors and stuff, right? That was pretty cool, having those different textures and shit, right? Now he looks like the retelling of the little match girl, and he's just playing his last song before he dies. Hire this man. Um, all I have are these boots and my running shoes and my Jordans. I will not crease my Jordans. I guess you gotta go barefoot now, man. I think I should sleep now. Yo, yeah, JK, go get some sleep. Thank you for submitting. Like I said, it was a really, really good piece. Thank you for submitting. Keep up with it, for sure, for sure. Just slow going. Luckily, the campaign I'm using only charges me when I get a new follower directly from the ads I put out. So, do you check their accounts? Do you check the account of the follower to see if they're actually like somebody who interacts much or likes art? Warm and tone color palette, but everything was close. Yeah, everything is kind of close together. But that's okay. Like, you'll find ways around that. And like I said, you don't have to make it like a radioactive hoodie or anything. I muted that redness of the wall down a little bit too much, even for like what I want. But it's just kind of doing a paint over is a little bit tricky. Um, until I learn to paint a little bit better too, right? But it's just kind of to pop him a little bit more with stuff, right? So different things, different colors, which you kind of do with texture. You can also kind of do it with shadow probably too. Right, so if we get this up here, All right, so I'm adding, what I'm trying to do right now is add a shadow layer, but it's going to be cool. It's going to be a different color, but it's going to kind of be something that can maybe balance that red out a little bit. Set it to multiply, um, turn it down a little bit. Multiply ended up really dark, way darker than I wanted to. That's a screen layer. So multiply ended up way darker than I actually wanted it to. Let's go normal and set our opacity down. So maybe normal, we set our opacity down a little bit. Just something to play with. It just adds a little bit of cool shadow, but that makes him step out from the wall a little bit. Yeah, it leaves a good separation. Saying much, but what more can I ask? Yeah, they seem more active than I. um, yeah, so this is like using your shadows with cell shading, right? Is not just using like a dark shade or a gray shade. It's using like what colors you already have in this palette. So if you want to keep these as sort of bright poppy colors, then which you should, because this is great. I would bring up the red a little bit in this hoodie, and I would use the shadows as like a sort of a blue, because that's going to like be the opposite of that, right? Um, and we can do that in a lot of different places too, right? We could even try it with his skin a little bit. It might not work as well. It might kind of deaden his skin, so it might just work on the wall. But um, those are just different little things to try as well. Just play around, see how they work. You never know. Just keep it on another layer, right? You never know how it'll work until you try it. So I don't like it on his skin, obviously. At least that effect, it doesn't look that good. But I like it. I like it against the wall. Shadow's good. Like if I had a red, I would use a green as my color for the. Yeah. Try playing with different things too, right? Try playing with different things. Um, so yeah, on this, your perspective. Um, I also noticed like one thing you do have here is you have this little design here. I don't know if that's your signature or if that's supposed to be on the wall or what, but it's a little bit close to his face and almost kind of causing a tangent right there. Blue would even it out because blue on the guitar, painting and pants. Yeah, exactly. And you could try greens and stuff. You can try whatever, especially if you're working digitally. Keep this on another layer. All you gotta do is edit tonal correction, play around with different colors, right? Mess with different stuff. So purple kind of looks nice. It's a little bit more subtle, right? There's a green. So green doesn't look like a shadow so much as it looks like another color to me. Um, where blues and purples tend to look cooler as shadows, right? They tend to naturally feel cold and tend to feel darker and shadowy. Multiply layer is your friend, yeah. Behind him, but I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, it's just a little bit too. It's a little bit too close, and whatever it's supposed to be, if it's supposed to be a graffiti or something on the wall, um, it's in this weird kind of transparent middle ground between where it looks like a watermark and maybe looks like your signature, but then maybe looks like something on the wall. Um, so if it's supposed to be something on the wall, make it obviously there. Make it kind of go with the shapes of the bricks as well. Um, yeah, and kind of make it to where it's its own design. It's like it's got its own space. If there's like spray paint and stuff on the wall or designs on the wall, I would make more than one too. That way you show that the wall is covered with stuff. If you just have one thing there, sometimes it can look accidental, or it can come off as a little bit confusing for whoever is looking at your piece. But if you have a whole wall covered with designs, or several of them, then you realize like, okay, this wall's been spray painted. That's the vibe of this, right? Like his guitar. If you take away two of those stickers, then you think maybe one is a part of the guitar. You don't know what it is. But because you have several of those, I know that they're stickers. And you could also mess around and put like just random shapes in there that don't even have to. They can just be like different shapes, and they can look like letters. They don't really have to mean anything. That way they don't look like a sort of blank stickers, right? Right, so just mess around with those. Kind of see what you can add to make it really look alive, you know? Desaturate the wall just a tiny bit too. Yeah, I was thinking saturate his hoodie a little bit more, but desaturate the wall too, right? Just to kind of push those things back from each other a little bit. Yeah, but I think this would be really awesome, like hanging up in a subway or painted in a subway or something. All right, any other questions on that one? Did that help? Light and darken them too. It still looks amazing. Yeah, I think it does look really fucking solid. I love the story behind it too. Learned a lot. Okay, awesome. Yeah, yeah. It's a really good piece too. Okay, let's go with our next one here. I think it is this one. Nope. Grabbed the wrong file. Um, there we go. There it popped up. Okay, whose was this one? What is up, my dude? Not much. Same old shit. Critique day and all that. You know. Uh, how's things going over there for you, Archer? Thanks for the side cheek on the on the line art, by the way. Um, Archer drew Sailor Scoobs because I don't know, just had to, I guess. But definitely left a little side cheek going on in the end. Been a week already. Well, you're intoxicated. Yeah, it's been a week. Do you want me to link it? You can link it if you want. I will not pull that one up on stream because there's a little side butt cheek on there. But I was laughing really hard. Hard and soft edges would be great. Okay, okay. Um, yeah, with painting, that's actually still something I'm still trying to figure out. But let's see what we can do too. You're most of I think a lot of people's things with this is kind of comes from. Let's see if we can kind of do this with a. We'll try our oil brush on it. Yeah, there's Archer's link if anybody wants to look at that. Um, never colored before. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So a lot of what I kind of want to talk about too is your composition as well. But like we can kind of go in here and look at some of the color stuff. Because I feel like you have a lot going on value wise. What brush are you using with this? The color, by the way. So like under here, I kind of want to throw in a little bit more darkness to really that's a big helmet, right? So let's get like a more darkness and stuff going under there. So right now I'm using the oil paint brush and I kind of have a harder setting on it. I just might have. No, you don't need to. You don't need to. I just want you to know I lowered that skirt 4 times. How did you still have that much cheek hanging out? It's a Dark Dimension minion trying to eat him and failed. Um, Soft brush with an oil brush too. Okay. The first thing I'm kind of wanting to do is just kind of blend, just to make things simple, is just kind of blend a lot of this together, right? Just to give you kind of a base value in your stuff. That's like where my mind wants to go first. Is I feel like you got a little bit of a sort of indecisiveness on what you want to do with your colors, right? Um, so the big thing is with these shapes, right? It's not always the colors we use. Sometimes it's the shapes that we use too. Um, I'm just kind of trying to get all this kind of going together. Just sort of even it out. "6 days until I need a new sub. Let's go. Let's go." um, if you color it and show me on stream, I'll give you a sub. Hi. She's really selling out on this. That side cheek, dude, it's. I legit was laughing really, really fucking hard with the side cheek thing. Okay, so you see how we kind of flatten stuff out, and now there's certain areas of your painting that are kind of um, more kind of consistent with values, right? Like now, so this kind of feels like it needs to go over here a little bit more, um, and this is some of it. It needs to. It feels like it needs to be shaped a little bit better, at least on the same plane. Like you have a lot of where I can see the bottom of this, right? But like let's kind of keep it the same here too, okay? So I'm gonna add a little bit more paint to my brush. I'm gonna cut that to where it kind of matches this other side a little bit more. So our first thing in all this is just kind of getting things to be more symmetrical. This is a solid shaped helmet, I'm guessing, right? So we want that feel to it. We can kind of dust it up later on, but we just want something solid right now. Right, and we can have all these cuts and lines in here. And so like one thing we can do with these lines is we have where those lines are kind of at the top, we can kind of give it a little bit of a sort of a highlight where light might be hitting it. Giving you a little bit more roundness, whatever these are. I think they're kind of goggly shapes. Blending for sure. Flats, like I said, well. If it isn't Miss Ari Atari. What's up, Ari? Texture later, yeah. Get your basics in and then add your textures. To me, because that simplifies things, especially if you're kind of learning stuff, right? Having your basics kind of down and then adding stuff in, right? So then I'm going to add that purple back in with that. Take down our brush size a little bit. Especially if this is kind of a bigger helmet. And I'm even going to grab my pen actually for this, just to kind of give these hard edges to these eyelashes, right? I can't help but wanting to draw line art more than I paint. I I think I keep living ahead. Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. I mean, just it's just things to look out for. As probably why a lot of your struggles are happening. Uh, if we could even like sort of move this. Oil brush. Then we can kind of get those hard lines going back in here, right? So you've got a lot of these hard lines cutting through. Back, had to go for a bit. Yo, welcome back. Eating tacos, just came to listen. Yeah. Oh yeah, Taco Tuesday. You never miss Taco Tuesday, do you? How you feeling over there, by the way? Um, I love the painterly feel to it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is actually really, really good. What we're kind of working on is these hard edges, I think, too, is making stuff stand out. So I'm actually using the pen tool at the moment, and I'm getting like a little bit, much smaller um, brush than like just using a big paintbrush like the oil brush, right? So now we get a little bit of that. Now I'm switching back over to the oil brush. So the pen tool allows me to kind of go in with like finer details, where the oil brush is a little bit more painterly and it's a little bit more wishy-washy on stuff we can do. I know the pencil tool, I feel like the pencil tool kind of works really good too with stuff. Um, so I'm just kind of adding a little bit more hair. It's kind of come down the middle. And I would give her like a couple strands, right? Something sort of cutesy. I'm experimenting a lot too. Yeah, there's a lot to fucking play with too. How was Halo 3, man? Unless fuzzy would help, right, right. So like especially with a lot of these, like I said, I'm just kind of going in here and cleaning up a lot of things, um, and then we'll keep doing that and just adding. Like I said, we add these little rim lights. That'll kind of create an edge here. That'll create an edge here. Um, Adding them to the top even can help out. We could actually do a little bit harder edge here, right? I don't know if this is supposed to be really shiny reflective stuff or not. But see, these are all hard edges versus fuzzy edges, right? So even with the teeth, right? We don't need it to be like super bright, but we do want like hard edges. So using different tools, different hardnesses on the oil brush, all that shit can kind of help. Keeping some consistency where it doesn't loop over the helmet thing. Cycra and Trent. Oh, okay, nice. I'm noticing as the part of the colors share similar values, so it ends up murky if you want to encourage more colors in some places and less colors in others. Like the hair could be hella more saturated and skin could be a little less saturated, except on the cheeks and stuff. Oh yeah, you could definitely add some of that stuff in too. Yeah, like with the teeth here, right? If these are real teeth, one thing we could do is, since we got that sort of that spot, sort of a highlight right there, right? So we make the teeth kind of a gray, and then we kind of go in the top with it, maybe a little bit of highlight, where sun might hit it, or whatever light reflection is coming and hitting those other parts. So, and then on the back side, then we kind of give it a little bit less. I'm gonna use the oil paint brush on this because I want to sort of fade into it, right? So this is going to be a little bit softer because my shadows I kind of fade into a little bit more. And just kind of mess with how that looks, right? Probably saturate it more even. So just as we kind of bring those up, then I'm gonna grab more of that, make this darker underneath here. So really kind of cast a little edge on those teeth. All right, darkness in here. Um, yeah, I think like Archer's saying, like harder edges and stuff. You can saturate a lot of this. Hair I kind of bring to a point, right? So it kind of feels more like hair. I'm okay, same stuff going on. Sorry. No, it's alright. I know you're stuffing your face. Priorities. Like priorities, you know. I just didn't know if you had your cough got better or your sore throat got better. Hint at the teeth by drawing in the gums. Oh, versus drawing in the teeth and stuff? Yeah. Those are tips I get all the time. Only last year, so understanding. So no one thought to explain what they meant. So I want to make sure I'm understood. Yeah, thank you for helping too, Archer. Are you out, Reina? Or is Archer going? Who's leaving? Who is leaving here? Um, oh, Archer's leaving. All right, Archer. Thank you so much for helping out. I appreciate it a ton. Um, it's about the same, but hasn't gotten worse. I guess that's good. I mean, I feel like that's good. All right, so more with the hair, right? More with the hair on here, right? Kind of keeping those with hair. With anything with hair, like you're gonna have like these little wisps and stuff too, right? Coming off the edges. So don't be afraid to play with a few of those here and there too. Just kind of make it look like hair, right? So that's the basic idea with this is then once we kind of got those sort of those areas in, that's when we can add those little scuffs of paint and sort of like mud and whatever else. Once we have a lot of that shading in, even with here, I would still kind of get it darker. Because it looks like these are two plates, two sort of breastplates. So I kind of want to give this a little bit of an edge down at the bottom here. And then towards the top, right? So we contrast our edges by putting a dark next to a light, right? So the light is hitting the top of this one, and this is kind of dipping down on this one, right? So putting those two things next to each other is what gives us that little pop. You're leaving me? I'm too unfaithful? You just want to go draw cheeks of other men, don't you, right now? You just want to draw other men's cheeks in skirts, don't you? Top teeth are shaped pretty cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a really, really cool concept. Really cool concept. It's just there's different things to balance out with all of it, right? Um, I would love to see where it goes down the road. Just yeah, just a little bit more hardness and stuff. So this is just a little bit of painting into it versus we got here's where we started. Here's where we're at so far. See, we just smoothed some stuff out. We kept certain edges hard. We changed a little bit of the shapes. Things like that, right? A little bit of shadow underneath here. Um, Photoshop, I don't know Clip Studio, but I heard great things. Yeah, it's really, really good. It's really, really good. D&D in half an hour, so I probably have to watch the VOD for my crit on Joker later. Oh, okay, okay. No worries. Click grayscale on that, and there's a whole layer you can take off. Yeah, that's true. You can put a grayscale layer over the top of this, too. Paint your cheeks for other people. Okay, so those are my recommendations for you. Is just kind of keep kind of going with a little bit more hard edge, err towards the side of hard edges and versus soft blending all the time, right? Um, and that will kind of create that, I think, that look that you're wanting to go for, right? And you can still have that painterly look as well. This is a work in progress. Yeah, I think so. I think so. So I'm adding a little bit of a highlight too on it, which we can still kind of get in these little cuts. Also brush size too, you know. Play around with brush size, what you got going. Smaller brush size gonna give you like those harder cuts and stuff. Bigger brush size kind of goes for like more mass blending and stuff like that, right? Trying like these edges. So sometimes it's just shapes. It's not necessarily like always the colors you add down. Sometimes it's having shapes that kind of contrast, like making an X, right, with paints. Getting maybe a little bit darker in here. I kind of want to, since this is the inside of the arm, not much is kind of hitting that, right? Same way maybe with this side over here. And then I'm taking like it looks like this is a shoulder pad, so we're going to add some shadow to it. You haven't seen one of my critique streams before? Really? It's because you're always busy getting tacos. So whatever, though. It's fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I don't care. It's just like whatever. It's not like I cry at night, but it's all right. It's cool. In Photoshop, I think you can press each Shift or Y or Control Y. Tacos over everything. It always tacos over everything. I know. Um, Big thanks because of you. I found out my program had a perspective grid. Still kind of new to digital. Yeah, sometimes you don't always know. But almost every program will have a perspective grid hidden somewhere in there. Is my first commission slot if it turns out good? Really? Maybe some work for people I don't know worth a shot. Yeah. That's very cool. Tacos greater than scoops. Yes. Yes. Very much. Very much. I mean, I'll have to fucking accept that too. I guess that's fucking life. Yeah. So even like I said, using your pen tool and stuff. Now we can go back in here. Um, Now we can create a little bit more shadow on this side. Kind of darken this side up a little bit. Get our brush bigger. So once we get our basic shadows and stuff down, that's when we'll go in and we'll add those rough elements, right? But we need our basics first, because that's where our values are going to be. Especially back here, it's going to cast more shadow. Probably going to cast shadow under here. So we won't have that white necessarily. Hey, Liberator, what's up, buddy? Scarba Jarba? Scribba Jibba? What's up, man? And here's the whole time I thought you were stopping smoking weed. But no, maybe not. Maybe back in here it's a little bit darker even. Right, so I throw some of that down and I'll lighten it up a little bit. Drop my paint, drop my density of paint, and that'll kind of help me blend in a little bit more. And just kind of add that until your values feel about right, you know? So no light's probably going to hit that little edge, but we can still have a little edge back there. And then we can still do this with the that dark line that kind of cuts through. You can still cut through back there. Okay, so does that make a little bit of sense? I won't spend a ton more time on it because then I'll be painting this thing all day. Oh, this is kind of fun to repaint your stuff, I'm not going to lie. I really, really like this design. I don't know what the story is, but I think it's really, really cool. Um, but yeah, my thing is just kind of get your values in first, and then start scuffing it up on top, right? Making sure everything is kind of feeling in the same shape, feeling like sort of straightened out, straightened up, feeling like I make a big deal about full shapes, balance and stuff with your art, consistency in your shapes, but it is really, really important to take that professional step. Do you ever feel like your normal work is better than your commission work because you don't worry as much if your personal work doesn't come out okay? Is that mindset of my commissions having to be perfect hurts me in the long run? It can definitely yeah, it depends on what you want out of your commission work. I do put a lot into my commission work, but I think my normal work pushes my imagination more. I think it's way more imaginative. Um, my weirdness on the ganja, unfortunately, anymore. Yeah, this is Setsuko's submission for the critique day. I'm really enjoying painting over this. I want to keep going with it, but like I know I have other critiques to do, but like I'm having a lot of fun painting over this. This is an IRL friend of yours. This looks like an IRL friend. So this might be Ari's friend in real life. Setsuko, are you doing a commission for Ari's friend right now? By chance? Is this is this is this Ari back here? Is this Ari before? What happened? What happened to this? What is this? No? Are you sure? Are you sure? Is this Ari when she gets mad? Alright, let's move on to the next one. That's me? He's just kind of brutal today. First, tacos are better than me. Now I'm the demon head in the background with the sword through it. Alright, I think we might be able to get the Joker one in before somebody has a D&D session tonight. Um, if we hurry really fast. I got two more, so if anybody's got commissions that they want, if anybody's got submissions that they want, now is a good time to pop those in. We have two more after this. Lurk in, lurk away, buddy. Good seeing you, man. I hope your day's going good too, Raider. Burritos have been consumed. Nice. I'm not playing D&D tonight. I think Reina is leaving for D&D in a little bit, right? I'm still working on organizing my D&D session. However, I did think of my D&D name tonight. I came up with it yesterday. This is my D&D name. It's Kith Myos. It's my D&D. I'm going to be an elf or a tiefling. I don't know, but it's Kith Myos. It's not an actual commission, but rather a build for my portfolio. Shh. um, elf fam. I think an elf or tiefling. But the important for me was to get the name right. Someone's mature. Shush. You know, Kate liked it, and that was all I was going for. Is Kate as my twin when we play this game? If she's gonna be my twin character, is she gonna approve of Kith Myos? Um, a build for my portfolio to what? Oh, so this is going to show people what you can do. I got it. 16 or 60. Wow. You know, I feel both at the same time. If I'm gonna be totally honest, I don't know myself actually. Okay, so this is a critique session. Can we not talk about me right now? Let's not focus on the streamer. Let's focus on the critiques, please. Thank you. Please and thank you. Pre-approved name. I hear when I enter in the stream is kiss my ass. Sure, no problem. What's up, Rexa? How you doing over there? Thank you, Lotus. Thank you. It took me a long time. I was thinking, what feels like an elfish name that just kind of rolls off the tongue, right? I would name my firstborn son that name. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody appreciate me. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, so Raina, before you leave, Let's try to bang out yours here. What are you working on with this? What are you feeling with this? Like main areas that you want to get better with. What kind of things you working on, struggling with? Doing critiques. We have to do it after. Thank you. Thank you. Do it after. If you're gonna bully me on my own stream, could you please do it after me? Or clearly, because Twitter is the place to do it now. Twitter is clearly the place to do it now. Whoa, whoa, whoa! What? I didn't get the 18 plus warning before the stream. Banging? It should always be on there. If Twitch doesn't show you the 18 and up, and you walk into something you don't need to see, that's on Twitch. Doing an eye study with this, but honestly, Harley's face. Oh, okay, okay. Um, I think I kind of know why Harley's face might be bugging you too. So she's kind of got. First of all, when we paint teeth or we do anything sort of realistic, um, one thing we do is we don't necessarily need to show all the teeth, right? Um, Very nice, thanks. How you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We're doing our critique session today, so if anybody's got art that they want to submit for critiques, you don't need channel points. It's totally free to drop it in there. We do this every Tuesday for those of you guys who are new here. And we're almost at the end of this one, so if people want to drop in stuff that they want critiqued, feel free to do so. So I think a lot of this with her. Let's flip our canvas too. Um, I knew it was her angle. Yeah, you also have two competing angles, right? So on a piece like this, I would want to see the same sort of angles on stuff. And I feel like with Harley, Joker's taking up a lot of space, but with Harley, she's not taking up as much space, but there's more things trying to be fit in, right? Potentially dirty. It felt wrong not to show hers, but I was worrying with myself. Yeah, I think you would have been on the same side, the right side of sort of kind of let's see. Man, my pen is really, really dying on me. It's okay though. You have to go Zoom meeting? All right, yeah, do it up, Ari. Have fun. Thank you for popping in for a little bit. Hope your tacos were worth it. um, every detail of the teeth, at least, yeah. Tiny details can be a lot better. Come on, pen. It's okay. Right, and so sometimes the lip is going to be a little bit fuller too. Kind of coming out here, right? Sometimes there's that little, like, crevice. So she's got a little bit of a smile going on as well. I think some of it is like in the back here. We can kind of try to add a little bit of that. You would probably see your teeth down here too. Although I'm not like a huge fan of wanting to show them really in this case. You have that other part of the lip and the mouth that kind of goes back here. It's going to curl up more, right? It's not just going to be like a flat line. So like we have that shadow now that is shows us that we're like looking inside the mouth and we see the other side of the cheek, right? Cyberbullying, her mouth, nose, and forehead reads side profile, but Harley's eyes show us show a slight turn, right? So I would kind of drop out the bottom teeth a little bit, even though I think you would still see them. I don't want to muck up your drawing here, but we're going to have to muck it up a little bit. Let's see. So the nose would probably come out a little bit more, right? It does read very side profile in comparison, right, to him. Which I think the nose would probably be like up here a little bit more. kind of drawing an anime style nose. But for like your stuff, it would be just add a little bit more. Yeah, so I think the more we kind of close up this eye too, the more it's going to help as well. Admittedly, this is not a very good nose. We can do better with it, but it's just kind of showing you to pick sort of a profile look, right? Pick a side and kind of go with it type of thing. Um, I still think they should kind of be facing the same way, if possible. I think we covered that. Like you kind of try to chance on something. I think you said it was an eye study, um, and it kind of ended up in the middle of it. I feel like her hat here would be up a little bit. I feel like there's a little bit too much room, maybe right here on this side, and maybe that's where he would have his like sideburns and stuff going down. Experimenting, yeah, it's a cool idea, and honestly, this something like this would even sell, I think, pretty well at a convention. Just having these two in here and having all the motion you have with colors, I think is really really cool. Um, right, so I'm gonna kind of just sort of like knock some of this back. So I think his cheek stuff would come through here, and this would be more hair in his ears. I also think we kind of give the whites to a little bit more room in his eyelid right here, right? Like it doesn't need to be totally grayed out. Shapes, like we said with shapes, kind of watching our shapes so they don't collapse on each other. So getting a little bit more roundness in that. Um, I think you have a lot of. So there's some highlight going on up here, but I don't know if it's the mask or if it's this undershadow of her eyebrow. But let's kind of make that abundantly clear of what it is. So I'm gonna default and go with the mask, um, and keep those hard edges on it, right? That way it's not in between. See, I think that already like helps define that side of the face a lot more too. So it's not getting lost. Do anything like that. I was doing Joker. I just want to throw in Harley. Probably should have stopped. No, like I said, I still think it's a cool piece that would get traction on social media. I think it would be a cool print that people would like because it's got both of them in there. Um, and I'm actually gonna take my oil brush. I kind of want to blend this out a little bit. See how that looks. It's a little bit hard for me. Because I kind of want this to follow like the curve of her face a little bit more. Let's get a bigger brush. I'm just kind of softening it so it kind of blends into that white area. A little bit quicker than just like a harder edge right there. Because I think that this is a light or this is part of her makeup. I don't know how it works, but Instagram, some yeah. I mean, anytime you have like a good fan art combo like that, for sure. Um, you have gold here, right? So you have a gold thing. On this, I kind of want to see if we can kind of cover up some of the black stuff on there, just because like the heavy lines on it, right? It's like a gold bell, right? So with that kind of metal, I wanted to just sort of stay away from. I don't know, clouding it up with too much like heavy black lines, because you have a lot of metal there, right? Although it's this is another thing too is maybe I would move it away from her mouth as well. Maybe have it you can kind of mess with it different directions or maybe even further down. Just try different things where it's not like right next to her mouth. Um, it's so colorful too that you kind of have to watch where it's put. But yeah, those are some basic ideas on that one. I think his facial proportions, like I said, he started out with a different started out with an eye study. I think like his face, you might have it come down here and watch like the center lines on his face even, because his nose is kind of running this way, um, and his teeth are here, but his eyes says straight up and down proportion, right? His eye says straight on shot. Cartoon ad honestly, but I get the reasoning for moving it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just it's think about how you can play with stuff. It being too close to her face. Yeah, it creates. It's not super super close to her face, but it's kind of close enough to where if you could find a place to move it, even if you got to fudge proportions on stuff, um, think about where you can move stuff and like how much better it might look a little bit away from it if it creates a tangent. Um, a lot of those little things like that, right? Um, take liberties with things. So there's our little bit of progress, right? Just kind of softening her up too. Take liberties with things that you can take liberties with in order to benefit your artwork, right? If it's not going to be correct, it won't matter if the art doesn't look good. It will matter if it helps like the art look better, right? So those are some things to think about too. I like the speed lines a lot. That you have the different colors of speed lines and stuff. I think that's really really cool. And sometimes that can hide some of your if you have things that you feel inconsistent about and you want to make a print like that, it can kind of hide that because it gives so much energy and so much color for people to look at. But yeah, it's really cool. I know you got to go D&D it up, so do that. Those are my thoughts on your piece. Thank you for submitting. I think this was your first time submitting, right? But yeah, thank you for dropping that in. I appreciate it. Let's jump to our next one really quick. We got two more. Okay, I love the fucking colors on this one, cell shading stuff. Whose was this? I forget too. I never remember who submits what. This is yours, Quirky? Awesome. Yeah, no problem, Raina. I appreciate you submitting. It was really, really cool. Okay, Quirky, what are your thoughts on this one? Anything in particular you want to look at that you kind of have some trouble with at all, or? Yeah, this is dope. I love this style a lot. Doing work for a portfolio? Okay, cool, cool. Um, okay, so posing. Let's drop your opacity down a little bit. Depending on what this character is. Um, Trying to get out of stiff, yeah. Yeah, so okay, so that's a good thing to know too, right? Um, so with that, remember our first order is always gesture line, right? Um, like what way can we do to make us not stiff, right? So we think about those things. So my first thing is like it kind of looks like she's running towards something, but all what we really need to do is sort of focus on what we have here and just extend it, right? The way she's running, she feels a little bit more casual. There actually is really good motion in it, and a lot of your motion actually is coming from the shapes and your colors and like the grass and the and I've kind of talked to you guys about this before. It's like adding things like this that's flaking off. If you can't add like speed lines into stuff, like a piece like this probably wouldn't look great with speed lines. But adding in like different background elements, right? So I love it a lot. So one thing I would do, depending on what she's doing, to add motion is just adding a little bit more movement or spreading things out, right? So we just add those action lines first. Make things a little bit higher, right? So if we want a little bit more movement, let's raise her arm up, raise up that shield, wherever she's holding it, right? This is kind of her holding it in front of her, which kind of shows that maybe something's coming at her. So that might change the mood of the piece if she's holding it up, but it might add sort of that movement that we want. And then maybe her arm would be back instead of bent. We could have a little bend in it, but trying to keep some sort of like straight lines or dynamic lines as much as possible. Hey, Flethling, good morning, buddy. How you doing, man? Right, so we pop the chest out a little bit higher, a little bit different angle, and we kind of cut it back. We keep these legs going here, popping out. I'm gonna move this. I'm gonna move her over a little bit now, so we have enough room. For D&D, yo, have fun, no problem. Thank you for submitting. Have a great night, have a great session. Let us know how it goes. Enjoy, Reina. Thank you for being here. We could also use that sword as sort of a balancing point too, right? So now we see the back of that leg sort of popping out. And yeah, even like the grass coming up, right? We could have the grass kind of coming up. So all we've really done with this is just add, if we really just extended parts of the body further away from each other. So the further away things go from each other, then that adds more motion to it, right? Um, like I said, I don't know if you wanted the shield going up to protect her, but that adds a lot more motion. Just and these are just like I said, these are just those gesture lines, right? We're keeping it kind of simple. We could actually, if we wanted to bend this back even more, we could. You know, we can keep things like this. Even the front is just, it follows all the way through down here, right? So we're just looking for those simple concepts. That works well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And your piece looks great. It does have motion in it, like I said, but it also depends on maybe what type of character she is. She does look like she's going a little bit slower. So if we want that motion in there to kind of signify what personality type she has, we might add that, right? Kind of bend her more. Like I said, pull things apart. That adds motion to it, right? Adding like little flakes of, this is shit you could probably go in now and do, is just adding like little flakes of um, little grass and stuff, right? However you want to do it. Makes me want to work on more dynamic poses. Yeah, dynamic is fun. Like, don't be afraid to push that stuff out. Um, One thing I would kind of do on your colors though here is I like the idea of this, but it's not. It's kind of throwing me off with her hair. Because the reason is I think you don't have it in enough spaces. Um, if you want to rim light stuff, I'd have it in like a few more spaces. I think that's what you're kind of going for, right? I'm just kind of seeing what maybe this would look like. I would actually, I kind of want to have her glasses pop a little bit more too. And we could even hit that with this sort of teal color if we wanted to. That way it's kind of coming from that front. Can I rim light your? No. I'm not saying that for YouTube. I'm not saying that for YouTube. Um, so maybe the top of it we soft erase, a little bit. That way it's going to be a little bit of a harder edge towards the bottom. Hey, Jalinar, what's going on, homie? How you doing? So I look at that. Let's see what else we could think of. I think it works great in a lot of areas. I might have a little bit darker to the bottom here, like literally to the bottom. Maybe under some of these wrinkles, right? You got them going there anyways, right? That way it puts more focus up here on the face. Laying low, post-meal sleepiness, and it's way too hot today. Yeah. How hot is it out there for you guys right now? So yeah, those are kind of my ideas. You've got some cool rim lighting going on. Like I said, just adding a little bit of that shadow, maybe more in the back, really kind of pop it. Taller doesn't break anything. Oh, that's a full time thing. Then yeah, yeah, yeah. You got your hands full. Okay, but yeah, I hope quirky. I hope that helped. I love the style. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the way the character looks. It's such a video game character. Um, the cell shading, flat style, all that stuff. It works so well. But yeah, just pushing your characters in motion more. Um, Pushing maybe those contrasts and those lights right to brights and darks and shit like that. Anything over 80 is too much for my taste. I'm kind of with you on that. I much prefer cold. Give me cold over like the hot stuff every day. Um, Thank you. Hey, thank you for submitting. Thank you for submitting. I appreciate that. I hope it helped. But let's get on to our last one because our last one's a comic book page. Uh, I know Biggie Boo loves loves when I get into these. So let's check out Biggie Boo's. He might be out on a run, a barefoot run somewhere, because his shoes are torn up. Um, I think yeah, it's in Fahrenheit. I think 80 Celsius would be like we would probably be dying, right? Oh, we got Biggie Boo. There he is. Boy, judge me. Oh, there he is. There he is. Crispy things were in Celsius. Yeah, that would be like, cause what 30 is 30 some Celsius? Is that like 80 by itself, and then add 50 more degrees to that? Okay, 30 is too much. I heard everybody I know in Toronto has said it's been really bad for you guys this year. Too damn hot for you guys this year. Okay, Biggie Boo's. Biggie Boo's. Where do we start? Let's see. I love creating Biggie Boo's because I love comic book work and I love how much work he puts into the revisions and stuff. Um, okay, so first panel up. I'm gonna do these side by side actually. I'm gonna do file new. All right, so kind of give me a rundown on your script too on this. It looks like she's kind of letting him go off to a head start. If I know about this character, he's kind of running. Um, then he kind of turns around. She's throwing the ball at him, but now he morphs and gets out of the way. Um, this is going to be a little bit confusing the way you order these, but it looks like she throws a match on him and burns him. Burns him to death. Um, I do know the story because I know of her. I've seen these two before. If I had not seen these two before with the ball thing, I might not know as much, right? Um, and that's a tough balance to walk is between having characters that you've established and showing a character to a potentially brand new reader, right? It's humid as hell. Say, yeah. um, I forgot to draw the match in the first three panels. Oh, so she has it the whole time, and then she's throwing the ball at him. So I think with these first two panels, right? What we can do is we don't necessarily want to show the same thing twice in a row, and we kind of have very similar panels twice in a row, right? So we can think of different ways to show it. Okay, so if she has the match, one thing I might do is if say we have him running in this panel, right? So sort of a cheat way, but an easy way to get away with having to see multiple panels of the same characters um, is we show it from two different angles. So we have him running in the first panel, right? And if we want to show the match, now we just flip the angle to her point of view. And now we kind of have a close-up of her holding the match, right? And he's kind of running off in this direction. So now we have her, him, kind of running that same direction. Then flip it, same type of thing, right? In this case, I would at least kind of draw some background grass or something. You don't really need to fill in everything, but just so you have sort of an establishing element to where they're at, right? Context, I can't tell. I can't tell what's happening. Yeah, it's because we definitely lost that match. Right. So she's got this. And then maybe I think we could do like a. Does she have are these balls? Do they come out of thin air? Do they are they always there and she just throws them out, or like how do they kind of exist in the world? Because just establishing something, I think, um, part of me wants to kind of see her hands sort of reach out, and like there's like one of the balls there kind of floating too. So like her other hand kind of reaches out for it, right? It's one ball. It's always there. All right. So then maybe I'll show this kind of popping up off the ground as she kind of motions for it. It's a planet and it's like orbiting. Oh, okay. It's like always orbiting around her. I gotcha. I gotcha. So in that case, we definitely want to see it in these panels too, right? Maybe we draw the path of it orbiting and stuff. She controls like a flight path. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Um, that's good to know. That's good to know. Um, okay. So then what I would have here is I would have a longer panel. And I would have her like kind of push that ball out, right? Even if she's sort of casual about it, you can draw her in a kind of casual stance. But I'm kind of having her like push it out a little bit more. And maybe it goes from behind her to flies, and it flies out, right? And then she's still holding that match. So we keep the match in frame. She's still holding it. She's kind of just pushing this out towards him. And then we don't need as much space on this one because it's just a reaction shot. And we kind of get up close to him. Hey, Tanium, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? Uh, that's like an handstand from JoJo's. What is that? Planet's like orbiting around her. She don't throw it. She controls the flight path. Okay. Um, all right. So then we have like his up close reaction. So she's throwing the ball. The ball misses him, right? As he turns into like water or goop. And then she throws the match. And then what is this one for? Is this the match flying through the air by itself? Is it laying on the ground here? So we might not even need this panel, you know. Off work for the night. I miss anything dope? A lot of good art, honestly. A lot of damn good art. Tanium, how's your day going, buddy? Match flying? Okay. Is this the first time he's transformed, by the way? Is this the first time he's dodged this? You think I'd catch the YouTube video? Yeah, there's honestly been a lot of. I mean, there's always a lot of good submissions, but there's been a lot of it. How was work today? You guys have any printer troubles at all? Okay, he transforms a lot. All right, so it's kind of nothing super special that we need to make like a big panel, basically. Hey, Wildcat, what's up? How you doing, Wildcat? How's your day going over there? Okay, but either way, in this case, I kind of want this panel to be the long panel, right? I feel like it's way more dramatic too. Um, how would I show this? Maybe I would just show it like, boom, and then like he kind of like splits around it, right? And maybe the ball like goes through. So maybe it shows like he's just barely dodged it, right? And like the goo or whatever kind of spills around. Well, I've gotten flooded with work, hard to keep up, but that's a good thing. Seeing so many businesses, yeah, no, it's a really, really good thing. Has it been picking up, or has it been consistent this whole time? Geared up to do some design work. Ideas are crystallizing. What you designing for? This is a new page. Yeah, this is a new page. Same characters. It's Biggie Boo's. Same characters. New page. So yeah, we're doing our critique day today. This is actually our last one for the day, I think. But this is Biggie Boo's. So I might have a sort of a short panel here. Um, then what we can do with this last panel is we can kind of leave it open. So like this is a border of our page, right? One thing I like to play with is like leaving open panels in the last part. Um, it's sort of a big explosion of fire when that match hits. Like boom. Then we get our text in here. And then kind of she's in the background. And you got his puddle. His puddle here, right? Flames kind of going up. We can do like the match can be right here too, right? D&D t-shirt because it doesn't exist yet and I need it. Yeah, I mean making your own stuff. That's a really good way to go about it. 3 times, holy shit, 3 times? That's really good. If he can dodge a wrench, he can dodge a ball. um, yeah, so maybe she's in the background here and she's kind of like sort of sort of blacked out, and so our main focus is on that those flames kind of coming up. let's see. It's going to be really important kind of where we put our match. So we know that she has it. We could put it down here. It's like a side panel, right? That might work. Maybe she flicks it, right? So we show that finger kind of do like the flick thing. And the match kind of cartwheels out. That's kind of how I would do it. Just draw a hand. Draw something that actually looks like a hand, you know. that might fucking help. Right, so then she flicks the match, and then last panel of the page kind of leaves us as a cliffhanger. Good last panels kind of tend to do that. I feel like every page. And then it just kind of like goes up into flames, right? And then he's kind of on the ground. So that's how I would set up your panels. As far as composition, yeah, like with your flames here, as far as technical stuff, flames I kind of tend to draw. Give them that S curve feeling, you know, where they kind of get closer together and then they spread out a little bit, but they kind of snake up too, right? So kind of practice that little bits of fire coming off, which you do have. Another reason I would kind of I would kind of definitely work on your color saturations too. So you have very bright colors, but in this case, and a lot of times that background pinkish purple is kind of getting lost with that ball. I would take his blue down just a little bit to a more middle tone. That way your shadows pop off of it more. If you have a really heavy saturated piece like that, I feel like it's a lot harder to have your shadows and your highlights pop. Maybe not your highlights, but your shadows pop off more. Okay. So then things like from just those technical aspects of what to kind of work on with a piece, is just little things that can help just make it look a little bit more sort of professional. Like we have bends and folds in clothing, right? And I kind of talked about the folds come off the shoulder, keeping like arm shapes and stuff, right? Keeping like, I think maybe he's turned into Jello, so I don't know if you kind of have that shape because he's turned into Jello stuff, or if it's just something we maybe need to work on to keep his body filled, or not. But like that would probably be a fold right there, right? Folds under here, under the armpit. Simple, just kind of simple things. Usually like 2 or 3 lines, kind of goes and works just fine. Right, perspective here. So kind of keeping this big, right? Especially because it's pointing out. Keeping our face proportions and stuff, things like that. So watching these, you know. Let's see what else we could think of. But yeah, I think a lot of your stuff is going to be greatly enhanced through how you set up your panels. Oh, we talked about this with Hasami too, but like we can try different colors as well on speed lines. So if we have a lot of dark colors, we can try sort of like white speed lines or anything like that, right? That way it kind of pops off these dark colors even. So we kind of talked about that with Hasami's piece. It's just being able to try different things for different looks as well. But yeah, man, you know I'm proud of you. You know I love seeing how hard you work on stuff. So keep doing it, man. Just work on those little bits of storytelling. Think about where you could push stuff. It's always it's always easier, a little bit easier to edit than it is to think of it out of your own mind too. So, but you will get there. You will get there. One thing I kind of strongly encourage you to do is go look at commercials and movies and pause them at random spots and think of that as a comic panel and why they chose to set the camera angle the way that they did. Um, then let it play for like 2 seconds and pause it again when the scene switches, because that'll be like a comic panel switch, right? Um, she's like, "Yep." Right? So like observe TV and movies and think about that with your comic panels. Like, why did they shoot it this way, and what angle did they use? What balance did they use within the frames? Like, how are different people set up forward and backwards? Like, if people are closer to the camera or further away from the camera. Think about that when you're watching stuff. And like I said, don't be afraid to pause stuff, because when you're making a comic, you're thinking in terms of you are the cameraman, so you get to move the camera wherever you want. Um, and try to notice little different things that they use in those movies, like if they tilt the camera to the side, if they have one person standing in front of the other person, and pull those into your comic, right? Um, because all that stuff is available to you. Don't ever shortchange yourself on all the material that's out there too. But yeah, good stuff, Biggie Boo. I'm glad you submitted again, man. I've been missing your submissions for a couple weeks, so I'm glad you dropped one in. All right. Anybody else have a last minute one, or are we done for the day? Thank you guys for submitting everything today. I appreciate it. It was a good session. It's a great name. Did I do Gandalf? No, I can do Gandalf if you drop him in chat if you want. Drop a JPEG. It's like two frames look almost the same. It's an instant moment of silence, like change dialogue. But if action happens, the view of the angle frame composition needs to change a bit more radically. Yeah, yeah, and that will help with changing your. Like I said, easy way to show the same the same sort of thing, like an extended scene, is just change your camera angle. And notice movies will do this too. They'll switch from one character's point of view to another character's point of view, to maybe a top-down shot from the room or whatever. That way they're kind of showing time change as well. Um, okay, Ben had a Gandalf piece. Yeah, Imagers just fine. Imagers just fine. I don't know what all this shit is, but okay. It gives me a lot of pop-ups now for some reason. Do you have a reference picture on this? Did you draw him from a picture, or did you pull this out of your head? The match flick should be to right side of the panel above the flames because panels read and Z. Yeah, and it can do that. It can do that too. I think that's kind of where I was gonna go with it. Um, but I wanted to leave more. In that case, the reason I did it that way was I wanted to leave more room for the flames as a more dramatic panel. But you can do that for sure. Cheap quick drawing, yeah, yeah. Cheap quick drawing is really good. Honestly, thumbnailing like we just did there, like we did a whole page really fast. Um, and that helps a lot. I mean, I have to thumbnail all my comic pages like that, so I'm thumbnailing like issues at a time, right? Reference? Okay, cool, cool, cool. Usually establish a scene in the beginning and keep things revealed unless you reveal something for comedic effect. Comedic effect in the end. Oh yeah, I sometimes lean towards over revealing stuff. That way it's there in the panel, um, rather than having people think like, where did that come from, or this come from, or that come from, right? Too much can be a distraction, for sure, for sure. If you notice the way that I was doing mine, closed it, but I do mine up in the corners a lot too, unless I absolutely have to draw them around an object. So a way to create like subliminal motion without clouding up your entire panel is just using your motion lines up in its corners, right? Like with the face part where he was turning around like that, right? Instead of just kind of going like full on manga, which manga likes to do is like really cloud it with lines and stuff, but you can kind of just subliminally do it by keeping it locked into those little corners right there and those edges. They they include it in every frame leading up to it. It builds the tension. Yeah, what is that called? Chekhov's gun, something like that, right? There's the reference. All right, thank you, Ben. Appreciate that, dude. Oh, nice. Okay, so working off another artist piece as a study looks like, um, which I highly recommend doing like master studies and stuff like this. Um, Working off of what other people give you, things like that. Especially if you want to learn how a favorite artist does work. It's a really good way to see what they're doing and what types of lines that they're using. Um, Always makes me wonder if they're working off a reference too. Okay, so on this piece, because you are working off a reference, maybe I'll just go at it as its own piece and kind of refer back to it, right? So some little things that we can maybe kind of pop out here. Um, I like it, and it kind of reminds me of like a little like lino cut sort of print style to it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the pencil tool in this. Um, what I would kind of suggest is that some of your shadows I think could be a little bit. So it looks like we got a strong shadow right here, right? So even with his, and I think the original artist kind of has this going. Let's see how much we can knock this down even. Right, even up here. I'm kind of grabbing a little bit harder edges for some of this hatching. A little bit more solid blacks. I know it's a sort of a wiggly hat, right? But I kind of want to see at least some of this kind of be a little bit more defined, right? Instead of kind of sort of like wobbly lines, you know? Like you have some lines that kind of go like this, versus having it sort of like just tilt over and hat like that. And this can kind of be a stylistic choice as well. But it kind of gets those lines a little bit more sure of themselves. So like in this case, even these little hatch lines, right? Making these a little bit more confident in what ways you're going across with them. You can kind of increase these hatch marks as well here. Same way with here. We can kind of just increase like the confidence with throwing these lines out, right? So we're not just back and I've talked a little bit before about this, like the sort of like when we're sketching and we kind of have this back and forth lines versus like when we're confidently throwing lines in, it ends up going a little bit more like this, right? One direction. So it looks like we're wanting to keep a hatch style, right? So we can kind of cross lines as well. If we want to do that, we don't have to necessarily just go one way with our hatch lines. If we want to build in darkness and kind of build out of it, we can build ups and downs with this. So that's another thing to think about. Um, just in keeping with like how dark it is, kind of adding some more stuff here. Just more of those hatch lines like you got. Because I feel like through that nose is really going to really add a lot of shadow to it. Yeah, still rocking the crits, man. I think this is going to be our last one right now. This is bins. Yeah, cross-hatching, exactly. Cross-hatching. On this, alright, so usually when we're doing pencil shading and pencil drawing type of stuff, we find our darkest darks, our lightest lights, right? So I think our darkest darks are probably going to be underneath these eyes. Lightest lights, we're probably looking at right here in these ranges. I think we might be able to get away with going a little bit lighter. On some of this. Just a few little spots, right? And this is me not looking off of that other person's work at all right now, actually. It's just kind of me guessing what my eye wants to see. Going back into here. Like I said, a little bit darker because it's not really hitting a ton of that. So these shadows are actually going to get a little deeper, bit deeper. As they kind of go down, right? Yeah, this is my big thing for you, is kind of like watching your lines, um, and your kind of consistency with them. Getting those sort of like confident strokes in there, right? Would be would be a big thing. Although I know this is a style, and that a lot of people like this style, but it might change it from looking sort of sketchy like this to more of intentional, like where you know exactly what you're doing. Even if you know what you're doing right here, because the lines go like this a lot, um, they can look unsure of themselves, right? So that is, it depends on if the people who like your art like the way you do it, then you don't really need to change it up. But if there's things that you're looking to improve on, that's one thing that I would say is watching like how you maybe throw these hatch lines in, and what directions you throw them in, and the confidence you throw them with, right? Um, so like even here, like I guess we'd be hatching a lot of this to kind of shade it out. I'm kind of throwing a little bit more extra underneath that. Just as sort of the mid-tones underneath that hat. Yeah, man, I dig it quite a bit, dude. Like I said, I'm kind of trying to think with all these. Yeah, you can see with a lot of his lines too. So with this reference piece, you look at a lot of his lines, right? See, they're very confident. See how they're kind of all going one way. There's not a lot of back and forth sketchiness on them. They're all, even like here where he's got like shading down. It's all pushing in direction, and like where he's got this shading kind of coming in, it's all, he knows what way his lines are gonna go. It's not a sketch of a line back and forth. It's intentionally going a certain direction. Uh, and it adds to that element, right? So he's got that hatch shading underneath the eyes too that we just did. Um, the lightest lights are usually his looks like his wisp of hair right there. More hatch shading, you can see it's all really confident. Even when it goes the opposite ways, it's all confidently going one way or another. Have a way of just floating around the picture until it looks as good as possible. Yeah, yeah, yeah. As opposed to be, but that is just a process of learning too, right? So you'll do this more and more and more, and you'll learn. Like with these bunches and stuff that come out through here, you'll kind of learn to just sort of like throw these lines out from a crease, and then you'll be like, all right, that's a fold, and now I'll just kind of add some shading, some depth in there, right? And then as this tapers off, I'll sort of draw my hatch lines, right? Even just coming back in here, right, you can kind of erase and clean them up a little bit, or do whatever you need to do to sort of balance those lines out. Yeah, I study this dude's lines are really good. Whoever did this, they're really good, guy or girl. Um, but study how like a lot of his lines are just they're going in a direction. They're he knows what path the fold's going, but then he makes his hatch lines follow that path instead of a line, too. The Cintiq has arrived. Oh shit! What's up, Ernesto? How you doing? How fucking excited are you right now, Chrissy? We're not gonna see Chrissy for about a week. She's gonna be on that Cintiq. Okay, but that's my critique on Gandalf here. Um, cool style, like I said. Just keep those lines kind of consistent. Maybe look at those values, lightest lights and darkest darks, and try to find those, and then the rest of it's in the middle ground, right? Yeah, Ben, dude, no problem, no problem. I'm glad you submitted, man. I'm glad you submitted. All right, I think that's it for today. Thank you guys a ton. Let me put my marker up so I can screen cap it. Thank you everybody for submitting today. Much appreciated. You guys did a great job. I just slapped the black stroke on a mine that doesn't really show up much in dark mode. Oh really? Is that good or bad? Like does it help it in dark mode or? I'm actually not leaving today. I'm gonna draw for another hour. No, you can't kick me out just yet. There's no kicking me out yet. No, I'm staying. But thank you guys a ton for submitting. This is where I'm gonna clip it for YouTube, so they'll think I'm leaving, but it's a fucking trick. But yeah, thank you guys a ton. I'm gonna get onto some sketching now for a little bit.